This building could be viewed as not only the birthplace of the shopping mall, but also the modern office building in Montreal. My name is Dominic, and today we're going to do a tour of some of the best examples of classical architecture in Montreal. The golden age of grand neoclassical architecture in North America was the start of the 20th century. This includes many different styles, such as Beaux-Arts or Greco-Roman Revival. If you are visiting Montreal, this showcase of outstanding classical-inspired design is great for architecture fans, or if you're looking for some places to take some beautiful pictures. There's no better place to start than in Old Montreal. In its early days, Montreal's economy used to be centered around its port. The main activities were commerce, trade, and transportation, but by the 1920s, Montreal rapidly became a global financial hub. At the time, Saint-Jacques Street was the Canadian equivalent of Wall Street in New York, housing major Canadian banks, the stock exchange, brokerages, and more. To accommodate this new financial core, these grand classical buildings started to pop up not only along Saint-Jacques Street, but around all of Old Montreal and the new downtown up north. Right now we're standing in front of the City Hall of Montreal, the first purpose-built city hall in all of Canada. The exterior of the building is from 1878. Its design celebrates the French heritage of Montreal. I say the exterior because the interior was almost completely gutted by a fire in 1922 and was subsequently rebuilt in 1926. Open to the public Monday through Friday, you can sign up for a free group tour or go it alone. Don't go by the main entrance, just head to the side to pass a quick security check. Once inside, you're in a small exposition area that talks not only about the history of the city, but has a unique focus on former mayors and administrations. Head up the stairs once you're done looking around. This will bring us to the Grand Ornate Hall, the main reason why we're visiting. Here you find beautiful hand-carved ceilings, Italian marble as far as the eye can see, and Corinthian pilasters. The hall has served as a place to greet people from across the world, with pictures on display to prove it. Notable examples include Princess Elizabeth, who eventually was known as Queen Elizabeth, Neil Armstrong, Nelson Mandela, Celine Dion, and so many more. Head to the back of the hall to see the council chamber, which has wonderful woodwork and stained glass pieces that depict scenes from Montreal. You can't enter the room without a guide, but the doors are opened and you can peek inside. City Hall is not only an architectural delight, but a bit of a museum at the same time. So take your time to explore if you're here and learn a bit about the city. This building we're looking at houses the National Archives of Quebec, which is interesting for two main reasons: the contrast between the inside and out, as well as the collection of documents. Designed by Louis-Zéphirin Gauthier, for most of its history, this building served Canada's first school of commerce. The monumental sculpture at the top represents Canada's role as a commercial and financial engine, as well as a maritime power with its shipping and ports. Inside, it's quite an experience. When you enter, you're in a relatively small room. Head up the stairs and through the doorway, and then you feel as if you were teleported to a completely different building. This modern addition opened in the year 2000 and serves as an enclosed atrium between the various buildings. It's an impressive work of modern architecture by Dan Hanganu, but we're looking for the classical stuff. At that, there are these 4-meter-tall white marble statues, which are literally called les géants, which means giants in French. They are worth a pause. These sculptures used to be on Saint-Jacques Street, which we talked about earlier. Walk through the door after the giants, past the reception desk, and you will enter the study room of the National Archives of Quebec. This Beaux-Arts-inspired room is one of the most elegant places to come read or study. If you have a fear of heights, the tight spiral stairs might not be for you, but the view at the top is splendid. The intricate metalwork under the glow of the study lamps is perfectly cozy. As mentioned, this is a national archive. There are actually thousands of people who visit each year to look through the vast collection of government data, which includes parish records and databases of immigration, to help them build their genealogical tree. Who knows, maybe you have some ancestors from Quebec. Back on Saint-Jacques Street, we're going to visit the head office of the Bank of Montreal. The Bank of Montreal is known as BMO today, and it's Canada's oldest bank. Their building in Old Montreal is their pride and joy, and it is still the main branch of the bank today. Designed by John Wells in 1847, this building is Greek-inspired, located right along Place d'Armes, an extremely popular square with tourists and locals alike. Yet most people don't even realize that you can enter the Bank of Montreal building for free, the price I like. The neoclassical interior is majestic. As soon as you enter, you're right under the dome and skylight, which bathes you in natural light on a sunny day. The idea of such grand, rich interiors was to convey to customers that their funds were safe in a solid building. I don't think everything was better in the past, but man do I agree with them on this one. The relation between architecture and our perceptions is important. When you see all the fantastic marble, the intricate roof details and brass accent, or the statues and chandeliers, you just feel like these people know how to manage money. There's actually a small museum about banking and money in Canada that's located in the bank. I won't show it to you, but if you do visit, I recommend you check it out. Keeping in the same theme of old bank buildings, we're going to walk just a few corners down the street to the former Royal Bank building. At the time of its construction, 360 Saint-Jacques was the tallest building in the entire British Empire, and by far the tallest in Montreal. In 1962, the bank head office actually moved to Place Ville-Marie, but it still kept a branch in the old building. The Royal Bank of Canada, known as RBC, closed its branch in the building in 2012, which left the way for some very unique experiences in Montreal. For starters, when you enter the wonderful lobby, head past the security desk and to the stairs at the back. You'll be in what used to be the main branch of RBC, but has now been converted into one of the most popular cafes in Montreal, Crew Cafe. The architecture here is inspired by the Italian Renaissance, which is characterized by arches and domes, not only on the roof, but large windows as well. But yeah, it's a cafe, an absolutely beautiful one at that. I personally have never not seen the cafe packed with people, but somehow I always find a place to sit and enjoy the incredible surroundings. What used to be the bank teller's counter is now reserved for the baristas. Another cool experience can be found downstairs. Here you can visit La Voûte, which is a supper club that opened in the cellars of the bank. How cool is it to walk through the massive metal doors to party? Our last location in Old Montreal is the Montreal World Trade Center, a marvel of neoclassical architecture and modern ingenuity mixed together. It's located by Square Victoria, at the intersection of Old Montreal and the Business Core. From the outside, it's hard to even tell what's actually going on here. What you see at street level is a street block filled with historic 19th century buildings. What you want to do is look for the glass atrium nestled between two of them facing the park. What seems like a compact entrance quickly opens up to reveal a towering space like nothing else in the city. The Montreal World Trade Center is actually an expansive, interconnected design that has combined multiple heritage office buildings into one huge building. Besides offices, there are also shops, restaurants, public art, and even a large hotel. It's such an impressive space in so many different ways. The reason we are here though is for the massive glass atrium and the lane below. Between the facades of the buildings that were integrated and the street lamps that make the entire space glow, it's a breathtaking area. The centerpiece of the area is the statue of Amphitrite, not sure if I'm pronouncing that properly, but the wife of Poseidon. The sculpture was purchased and moved from France to Montreal by a local company. This area, with its 72-foot long mirror fountain, is extremely popular with wedding photographers. At the time I was there are at least 4 different couples taking turns taking pictures. Next, we're going to leave Old Montreal and head to the downtown shopping district to visit what is probably the largest and most iconic neoclassical buildings in Montreal, or even Canada, the Sun Life Building. What used to be located in Old Montreal, the Sun Life Insurance Company was one of the first large companies who made the move up north to what would become the new business district. The original building from 1914 was much smaller than what we see today. At first, it was only 6 stories. Around 10 years later, the building's footprint was doubled to make space for the ever-expanding insurance company. This was nothing compared to the final expansion that was completed in 1933. An additional 20 floors were added to the building. The lobby is open to the public, so let's go check it out. A lot of the spaces have recently been renovated, but it still maintains that charm and elegance. For example, they still have the same bronze elevator doors from the 1920s. We look closely and you see the crests of all the Canadian provinces, except for Newfoundland, which was not part of Canada yet. Before modern automation, the elevators were manually run by dedicated employees. Quite a few commercial spaces were added recently, but only a few have been rented out so far. There is a very popular cafe, Cafe Milk, which rents out a large section of the lobby. The coffee and pastries are actually really good and reasonably priced. The plants are all real, which is a nice touch, especially in winter. Alternatively, and a bit of an oddity, there is an interior courtyard that you can access from the cafe. Since there are 24 floors above the lobby, it's not an actual courtyard, and the skylight is artificial. The effect is really well done, so use your imagination a bit and it feels real. Back in the day, there used to be a bowling alley in the building, so who knows what will become of the new commercial spaces. Remember the building from the start of the video? It's called the Dominion Square Building. Despite being a landmark building, I find that it is not only underappreciated by the locals, but the owners themselves. For starters, the lobby is fantastic. It could have easily been a Grand Chateau hotel with this design. You'll notice that most of the space is commercial fronts, but it is a bit neglected. The idea of an interior shopping arcade was unheard of in the city of Montreal at the time of construction. In a sense, this was the first mall in Montreal, or even Canada. Now, what's a mall without escalators? Again, this was the first office building in the city to have escalators, which were made of wood back then. One of the last breakthrough features of the building was having not one, but 2 levels of underground parking. The entrance to the parking garage is tucked under the footpath in the nearby park. A neat concept. All in all, the Dominion Square building is just as much an important architectural achievement as it is a technical achievement that set the standard for office buildings built after in the city of Montreal. Montreal is overflowing with wonderful neoclassical architecture, from the grand examples we looked at today to much more modest buildings throughout town. If you're visiting the city, you will not be disappointed. Do you know any gems throughout the city? If so, leave it in the comments down below. If you liked this tour of neoclassical architecture, let me know if you would like another video, say about modernist architecture. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.